Hey everybody, Movie Reviewer next door here, and I'm back with another review. This time, I Spit on Your Grave 3, Vengeance is Mine. This is a 2015 film directed by Artie Bronstein, but not really. Just a second there, sorry. Gotta mute something. Uh, but I'll talk about that. Horror film, and it stars Sarah Butler, Jennifer Landon, Doug McKeon, Gabriel Hogan, Harley Jane Kozak, Michelle Hurd, and Karen Strassman. In this film, Jennifer Hills is still tormented by the brutal sexual assault she endured years ago. She's changed identities and cities, reluctantly joining a support group where she begins to piece together a new life. But when her new friend's murderer goes free and the tales of serial rapists haunt her, Jennifer will hunt down the men responsible and do what the system won't: make them pay for their crimes in the most horrific ways imaginable. Only this time, no jury may be able to save her. So, what did I think of I Spit on Your Grave 3, Vengeance is Mine? Well, quite enjoyed this one. I don't know if I enjoy it more than the remake. Maybe just a little bit due to there not being like a horrific rape scene in this, but I still quite liked this film. It it does have its downgrades from the first and the second, even though not much from the second, but I really liked that this continued from the first and didn't just repeat what the second film did. But let me get to the cast. Sarah Butler plays Jennifer Hills, or Angela Jitrinka, which is a name she like picks up uh because she's trying to start a new life. Again, Jennifer Hills in the remake, I think, is a very strong character by the end. I think it's very interesting to continue her story, especially in a bit of a different way. It's not like, oh, she gets raped again, which would kind of just be like unnecessary. But I like what they did with her character for the most part. There's she gets to do some interesting stuff with the character acting wise. Her acting is still pretty strong in this one. Jennifer Landon plays Marla Finch, who's a friend that she gets at the group, who's kind of like not against the support group, but she's really like, whatever to everything. Um, this actress is known for being on Yellowstone as a character named Teeter. I never watched a lot of Yellowstone, but I know that a lot of people really like it. Also, her half brother is Christopher Landon, who wrote and directed Paranormal Activity, The Marked Ones, Happy Death Day, Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, Freaky, We Have a Ghost. So that's interesting. And Jennifer Landon was pretty fun in the role. Um, I mean, the character, it does kind of have like a bit of, I mean fun as she's kind of like comedic relief from some parts of the film that are a bit bleaker. Again, she's not in the full movie. She's in about the first third of the film, but still we get to know enough about her so that what happens, again, spoilers since it's in the title, she ends up getting killed, and that sets off Jennifer on this whole revenge thing. Doug McKeon plays Oscar Koska. Um, he's the father of a girl who ended up killing herself after her rapist went free due to a technicality. Um, this actor, apparently he was a child actor. He was in Centennial, that big long miniseries from the 70s and 80s. Um, and yeah, I thought he did a pretty good job. Gabriel Hogan plays Detective McDillon. He was fine. He's not a lot to him, to be honest. Harley Jane Kozak plays the therapist, and I guess she's a bit of a scream queen since her film debut was The House on Sorority Row. I never watched that. Oh wait, she's oh yeah, she is one of the main characters. Okay. Or one of the supporting characters. That's cool. But yeah. She did a pretty alright job as well. Michelle Hurd plays Detective Boyle, another detective on the case of all these people dying around the group. She was in Ash vs. Evil Dead, Star Trek Picard. She was a character in Law and Order SVU from 99 to 2001, so that's cool. She was fine. And Karen Strassman is Lynn, who's the leader of this rape support group. Um, she was fine. Here's the thing about her. She is a voice actress predominantly and mostly stage and TV. And she's been done a lot of English dub work for anime, like Callan Statfield and Code Geass, Miyuki Takara, and Lucky Star. She was in Fate Stay Night, Monster, Rosen Maiden, Fate Zero. She's K-On! So she's been in a lot of really cool stuff. Also, she was Rouge the Bat in multiple Sonic the Hedgehog games and shows, so that's cool. Um, but yeah, with this film, uh, one big thing I can give it is that it didn't just repeat what the first film did like the second film did. That's one of my main issues with the second one is that whole bait and switch thing they do where it's like, oh, you think she's safe and then she's not. I get the point of it is to be like, who can she trust? So she has to end up only trusting herself and maybe the priest. But here, they decided to continue the story, which that's awesome. Always up for a good continuation. And I think this one does a continuation in a pretty realistic way. To the point where Jennifer, whenever somebody is like irritating her or something, she has these like weird visions of like her killing them. And then she never really acts out those intentions on most of the people she thinks of it with. But I thought it was an interesting thing to add and kind of get you feeling her, get the audience to feel what she's got going on inside. Oh, and before I said, directed by Artie Bronstein, it isn't actually. Artie Bronstein, this made-up person, directed this 100 Degrees Below Zero, which I think is an asylum movie, Abducted, which is also an asylum movie, and something called A Father's Secret, which looks like a Lifetime movie. The actual director of this film is Richard Shankman, who I have talked about his stuff before when I did the Angel series, and his directorial debut was Angel 4 Assault with a Deadly Weapon, which was I'm pretty sure I gave a 2 out of 10. But he also did Went to Coney Island on a Mission from God, Be Back by 5, which is a film starring John Cryer, Frank Whaley, Ione Skye. Apparently, it's a well-regarded indie film. The Man from Earth and The Man from Earth Holocene, which are also very well-regarded, very dialogue-heavy films, but I've heard very good things about them. Um, but yeah, very interesting. I did not know that until yesterday when I was like, again, usually I write down a bit of a template for my reviews. Like I get the like names of certain actors down and then what the director's done. And when I looked at the Wikipedia page, I was like, wait, credited as Artie Bronstein. So I'm guessing I can kind of understand it given some of the material that this film deals with, but it was interesting finding out he did this. And I think for the most part the direction is all right. The direction, I hate to say this, it's kind of the flattest of all of them because here's the thing about the first one. The first film had a budget of 2 million. This one has a budget of 3 million, which is technically higher, but you also have a lot more extras, a lot more you have a lot more locations in this film. And this is trying to be just your normal film without because I Spit on Your Grave remake, as does the original, this is with the original. There's basically like a couple. I'm not really gonna call the woods a like its own like location. Most of the film is filmed in the woods. or in the house or in this other like rickety house that I'm guessing excuse me, Jennifer had been living in this entire time. So i- it's a film that mostly could use the budget for the actors, which there's some notable faces. So you got some character actors and the editing and the music, which are all really good. Here it does feel a lot more like a TV movie with how it's shot, but I don't think that really hurts it that much. It just doesn't look as polished as the first two. Even though I hated the second one, it doesn't look as polished as that one. Um, but the score here by uh, the score by Edwin Wendler, I thought was pretty decent. Um, Worked for the tone the film was going for. Uh, the the revenge itself. So again, the main plot of this film is that Jennifer is going after these rapists who have evaded the law and why they're the reason these women are in this group, which is kind of a similar premise to another film called MFA with Francesca Eastwood, which I would say that film I'd say that film goes at a more realistic angle with how everything happens and how certain things happen a bit out of order. It's not like a i- if you want a bit more of a realistic take on that, even though I'm not a big fan of how certain characters are written, uh, again, the whole like a lot of men are just assholes thing, uh, I still think it's a good film. This film, again, it's more going for like the gratification of the revenge. Um, there's still like hints of like questioning it, which I'm fine with, as long as they don't shove it in your face and they don't try to be like, oh, this is how you should feel. They're letting you decide for yourself how do you feel about the character doing this. But some of this shit in this movie is disgusting, but in a good way. There's now I'm gonna be talking about stuff that she does to these guys. Um, she the first guy that she gets revenge on, she like lures him out, the like killer of her best friend, her or of her friend in the group. She lures him in an alleyway, pretends like she's gonna give him a like BJ, and then she like cuts off his the head of his, cuts it down the middle, and then when he's on the ground, she like fucking beats the fuck out of his head, and I'm like, Jesus Christ. And the effects are really good. That's another good thing. Like in the first and second film, the effects are still very top notch. I'm glad they didn't go for CGI. There's like a couple bits in some of her like whenever she's like imagining shit where there's a bit of CGI. It's not the worst. It cuts away quick enough so it doesn't look horrible, but I still did notice it. Kind of like in the first film or in the remake. I keep doing that. There's a character that uh there's a character whose father is molesting her, and her and her friend like beat the shit out of him, and for a bit it's better, and then it keeps happening. So she like dresses up like a schoolgirl and lures him to this like abandoned uh place, and then she reveals that she knows what he did. Then she ties him to a chair. I'm gonna describe this as kindly as I can. She has like lard. She lubes up a pipe, shoves it, in his, yeah, uses a sledgehammer and fucking wails on it. And I'm not gonna lie, that was enjoyable. I know some people would be like super grossed out. I think the guy gets what he fucking deserves. I don't think any of these people like I if she had just like shot them, I don't think I would feel as gratified because she's giving them some of the pain that they've inflicted on others, and I think that's a very interesting way to do this. There's another guy that she like um well, she doesn't actually end up killing him, the cops do, and then they think that she did all of these things, which she did. But then Koza comes in with his wrist slit and he admits to all the murders. And then even while she's under house arrest, she tries to go to the one guy that keeps like stopping her in the middle of the road and shit, and she ends up killing him. But I like how this film did a lot of the uh revenge stuff. I thought it was creative, inventive, even though the pipe up the ass thing is a bit similar to the sheriff with the shotgun up his ass. It's still a real pretty creative way to get revenge on somebody. Um, the I will say there's some weird stuff with this film. There's bits where Jennifer Landon is a bit too hammy early on, especially when they're like confronting the dad, the stepdad that's abusing his daughter. It was a little bit much, but for the most part, she was pretty bubbly and entertaining to watch. There's a coworker character that that our main character kind of goes back and forth from like, oh, it's okay that he's being nice to me to, oh, he's trying to sleep with me. And I'm not huge on what they do with the character. She doesn't kill him, but she like threatens him with a knife to like stay away from her, which I was like, what? What did he do? Uh Again, there's small bits of CGI that I'm not huge on. The film, I feel like you could have thrown in a couple more revenge killings because there are some dialogue scenes that go on a bit too long. And this film is already not that long. It's the shortest of all of them. It's an hour and 31 minutes. But uh I and the ending is fine. I think it's kind of setting up for another movie, but I don't think that'll ever come because the sequel to the original, which I'm dreading watching, is did horribly. But it it was the ending was at least interesting. Not something I hadn't really seen before. But yeah, I still enjoyed this film for what it is, which is a pretty good sequel to a pretty good remake that I think is leagues better than the original because I hate hate the original so much. But yeah, um that was my review of I Spit on Your Grave 3 Vengeance is Mine. If you've seen the film, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Any recommendations, put them down there as well. And movie reviewer next door.